Hello, 1 second. Hi everybody, how are you doing? Welcome on in. Hello. Hi everyone that came over from my channel too. Welcome to the It Gets Better stream, you guys. How are you all? It's nice to see you. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. It's nice to see you. Thanks for coming on over with us, you guys, to the It Gets Better stream, where we will be talking about all sorts of LGBTQ+ related things, answering your questions, sharing advice, chatting with you guys, learning about your stories, all that kind of stuff. If you're here as an ally as well, thank you so much. We appreciate you, and I'm grateful for you being here. It means a lot. So thank you. Just so I can say from the end of my streams, I know we had to rush over here real quick, but I am just giving the giveaway winner the Robux prize right now. So congratulations for winning. I don't have to say your name. Is it Kina or Nina or something? Loving Nina, is that how you say it? You'll get that in a few minutes. So yeah, hi everybody. I'll switch over in a second. You'll see my face. You will also see Rob, because Rob is joining me today as well. As a fellow LGBTQ+ person, we're going to talk about some various different LGBTQ+ topics. Today we are specifically going to be talking about dealing with unaccepting people and learning to love yourself, which I think is a big important topic when it comes to being LGBTQ+. I can imagine a lot of you guys probably, you'll feel... Probably, it's not the nicest thing in the world. It's not the nicest thing in the world when somebody, isn't accepting you or something like that is going on.
Hello everyone,
Oops, I opened up my own channel so that I could send the link over to people who didn't get sent over. Come over. Some people said they didn't get sent over, so I just sent the link. James, I'm going to advertise the link actually myself in Discord now, actually. Okay, there we go. I've shared it on my Discord server. Panic over. Let's get Rob in here, and then we can chat. All right. Yes, Mama, we are working currently on a Dolly UGC. Yes. All right, Rob. They should be able to hear you now. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Can you guys hear Rob? Can you confirm for me?
Yeah, I checked. I can hear myself.
Calls. And now they should see us both too. Can we confirm as well that you guys can in fact see us both too? Oh my gosh, the captions thought it said that I said, can you see us birth too? We're not birthing. There's no birthing on this stream. That's not allowed. Just so you guys know. No birthing allowed.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. So, we'll start off the stream in, I think what is probably the most reasonable way to begin. Based on the fact that there will still probably be people here who don't necessarily know who we are. Because this is obviously a different channel and there'll be people watching that might not know who we are already. Things like that. So we'll start off by introducing ourselves. So my name is B. Hello. I am trans, female, pronouns she, her, as you can see on my screen. I am a YouTuber and Twitch partner, full-time, sort of. and I kind of do all sorts of stuff on the internet, all over the place, really. Just all sorts of crazy things. Yeah, Rob always wears hats, Layla. He has so many hats, so many hats. I don't think there's anything else very interesting of me to share. That's it, really. I'm trans, and that's why I'm here. Rob, do you want to introduce yourself while I try and plug my earphones in because they're gonna die?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Rob. I'm a gay male. My pronouns are he, him. I'm also a Twitch streamer. I sometimes stream, usually with B. I'm gonna try to stream more on my own though. But I usually play like Overwatch, and we're gonna be playing Stardew Valley and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm on my channel. I wear all different hats, and my channel points are mostly hat related, like switching them or picking them or doing weird things. And then sometimes I'm on B's YouTube channel as well. For
And he
different
also
things.
has a dog called Matilda. Yes.
Yeah, who's
Who
barking in
who
the
you can
background?
hear. Yeah. Yeah, so Rob is in a lot of my stuff that you guys probably would have seen either streams on my main channel. If you watch my main channel YouTube videos, Rob is in those as well. He's all over the place like a bad rash, and joins in with lots of various different stuff. Now, today we wanted to specifically talk a little bit because our main topic today is going to be about dealing with unaccepting people as an LGBTQ plus person and learning to love yourself and not need that necessary validation from others to be able to thrive. Because it's definitely something that a lot of us struggle with. I'm sure many of you guys watching this, if you are LGBTQ plus yourself, probably do struggle with people being unaccepting, or at least worrying that people are not accepting you, even if you maybe don't know for sure that that's the case. Sometimes we're afraid of people being unaccepting without even meeting them or without even telling them what's going on yet. So it's kind of going to be an open conversation about that, and you guys can share your experience with us. You can ask questions if you want to. Obviously, we can only give like advice. We are not medical professionals, but we're allowed to give like, just basic advice. But we, like I said, we're not medical professionals, so we can't tell you, what you should or shouldn't necessarily do in terms of medicine and science, but we can talk about it. And you can share your experiences in the chat, and we can read them and things like that. So first things first, let's start off with our own experiences with experiencing unacceptance, I suppose. There's two different ways I think that I have personally experienced unacceptance, and I categorize them in my head, I guess. And those are people you know and people you don't know. Because people you do know not accepting you would seem like that would be the hardest. But for me as a person, I think people I don't know not accepting me seems to affect me more than I think people that do know me. My friends will know this about me already. I'm a little bit of a people pleaser. I don't like it when people don't like me or when people dislike me. It bothers me a lot. It's a hard position to have or feeling to have when you have a large audience online, because obviously you're always going to have people who don't like you, if that makes sense. But it's very hard for me. I find it really difficult to be disliked and feel like somebody specifically doesn't like me, if that makes sense. So I personally find that the only unacceptance I've ever had within family was when I first came out. I think my family is pretty much all accepting now, at least the ones that matter. The other, yes, you can ask questions, Ice Hat Chan, yes. Most of my family that don't accept me are people that are so extended and far away they don't matter to me anyway and never really did. Like the family that you don't really spend a lot of time with, if that makes sense. So I'm not really bothered. But my immediate family only ever didn't accept me at first because of their own confusion and the fact that they didn't know what to do, if that makes sense. But over time, that was really hard. But over time, they've become more and more accepting. And now I have really good relationships with all of my immediate family. So that's good. For me, the biggest problem I have is people around me. There's already a lack of acceptance in terms of LGBT people, specifically the LGB part. There is already a lack of acceptance for like gay people and bisexual people, etc. But I think that especially right now, there is a huge lack of acceptance for trans people. So if people find out that you're trans or can tell that you're trans, they tend to make your life difficult. And so that's the thing that I find the most difficult. I find that I am always afraid that people can tell I'm trans, if that makes sense, in public. And whenever I'm afraid of that, it makes me really nervous about people judging me. I think this is just my personal opinion, to be clear, and this doesn't necessarily mean it's important that any other trans people feels this way or that anybody agrees with me. But I feel like I look feminine enough on the outside, like look feminine enough that nobody's going to be able to tell that I'm trans by looking at me. I like to think so anyway. I like to think people can't necessarily tell by just looking at me. I hope, I guess. And my problem though is when I open my mouth. I don't like my voice. I hate my voice a lot. I think I sound really masculine. So I always assume that when people hear my voice that they're going to immediately be able to tell that I'm trans. And that is when people usually look at me strangely in public as well. Because when I am on the phone, for example, people will call me Sarah a lot or think I sound like a man. In my YouTube comments, I get a lot of comments on my voice, people saying I sound like a man there too. So I'm always feeling like there's people consistently, I guess, judging my voice, and so I'm afraid of opening my mouth. So when I'm out in public, I try not to talk too much because it makes me feel really nervous that people are gonna then judge me and be unaccepting once they hear my voice. So that's, I think, what worries me the most when it comes to how I speak and things like that. So public unacceptance is the hardest for me, especially online and in real life, mainly because I think it's because I'm so visible. You know, people know who I am from my content and things like that. Having a larger audience and stuff, people see me all the time and hear me all the time. And I am a people pleaser, and I really don't like it when people don't like me. And I have in the past at least had a negative way of responding to people who dislike me. Now I'm kind of just trying to learn to ignore it, but it's very hard to do that when you're somebody who really doesn't like it when people dislike them, if that makes sense. So that's what I mainly struggle with when it comes to unacceptance. Not so much my family, but more the public. Rob, would you like to explore your personal experience of unacceptance and how it affects you?
Sure. Well, for one thing, I'm much older than you, so I lived for a long time where it was even less acceptable to be LGBTQ, and for a long time I completely hid it. Like, and it's easier for me obviously to hide being gay because unless I say something, like I don't like with to look at me or anything I say unless I specifically say, hey, I'm gay, and like no one would know. So for a long time I stayed hidden in the closet. When I was a teenager, when I was in school, I never knew at work. I actually ended up getting married to a woman because I was trying to be what society wanted me to be, basically. Like, I felt like I needed to fit in, so I was just going to do what people expected of me instead of, you know, being true to who I am. But that there's a lot of pressure for that, like, to be accepted, because you feel like, oh, if I start telling people this, then I'm going to be alone. No one's going to like me. And I got a lot of that from home too. My parents were very, I say were, but that's a little complicated. I'll get into that. But they were very anti-LGBT. So growing up, I always felt like there was something wrong with me. And so because they would talk, like they didn't even know, but they would talk about gay people like in TV shows or that they've read about, and like my dad would always call them perverts and stuff like that, and like it would make me feel like there was something wrong with me. So eventually my ex-wife and I were having issues because, you know, I was gay and we were in a marriage together, so there were problems cropping up. So finally I decided, you know, I can't, because she was getting very unhappy, and it was basically, that was what pushed me to finally be like, I can't, like, now my covering up who I am is causing issues for other people. So I came out to her, I told her the truth, and we ended up getting a divorce. We're still kind of friends. We at first we talked a lot still, but now we've kind of like drifted apart, but there's no like hatred or anything between us. We're still like good acquaintances. But then coming out to my family, like some people, like my brother and most of my friends at the time were like, oh yeah, we knew. I was like, yeah. And at the time I was like, you knew, but I'm like, could you have said something so that I didn't feel so like alone and isolated? We'd be like, hey, we know you're gay and it's okay. they said that they had talked to other family members of mine that were gay and out, and they told them not to like push me, which it is good, and it's not. It's kind of like a gray area. Like, would I have been happier knowing some of my family knew and were okay with it? Yeah, but then also that they could have been like forcing me out before I was ready, I guess, is what it was. But some people were completely blindsided. Like, neither of my sisters knew, but they're both very accepting. My mother, my mother, my mother knew a long time ago because I had some gay things hidden in my closet when I was a teenager, and she went to clean my room for me, and she cleaned my closet, and she found it. So then she's wanted to have a talk with me, and she's like, "Is this your way of telling me I found?" She's like, "I told you I was going to clean your closet," and I was like, "Did it just ever occur to you that I'm just that stupid?" So we had a long talk, and she was like, she's like, I'll still love you, but this, like, if you go this way, like, she basically felt like it was a choice, like, not completely, but she was on the side of, you could change if you want to. So she said that she would still love me if I was gay, but that I would have a hard and horrible life because, like, people like my dad and stuff didn't, she knew how people treated gay people at the time, and she was worried for me. So yeah, so then that was back when I was a teenager, before I even got married, before I had a job. Like, that was years and years ago. So I told her I would try, and then I did try, and then I still, like, life was still hard and horrible. I just wasn't myself. But then when I came out after I got divorced and everything, I told her, and she cried, but then she was accepting of it, but she begged me not to tell my dad because she thinks my dad still does not know, because she thinks my dad will blow up and, like, it'll be a whole, like, basically destroy the family kind of thing. So to keep the peace for her, I haven't told him, but I don't really hide it. Like, if I go to visit, I don't mention anything about my life, really. But, like, online, luckily my dad is not computer savvy at all. Like, I don't even think he knows how to log online. I had to, like, beg them to get phones that can text because they're just so backwards technologically. But he's never online. But, like, on my channel, I say I'm gay. My tweets and stuff. I have a podcast that I do called Simply Unprofessional. I talk about it all the time, but they don't watch it and they don't see it. And then too, like, I've started actually being like, like, I've gotten this shirt and stuff to wear.
Yeah, got the rainbows.
Yeah, I've got a couple different rainbow hats.
Yes.
Like my wizard hat and stuff.
I love
that. So I don't hide it, but I don't, like, bring it up unnecessarily either. So some of my family still doesn't even know, but it's not like I purposely am hiding it from them. But there was something I wanted to bring up about my dad, but now
I've got
forgot.
something actually that I can show on stream while you're thinking about what you want to say. Look what I've got, everyone. Look at this that they sent me. Look at that. It's like a tote bag.
Nice.
And I also have a shirt as well. I think I'm supposed to wear them on the stream, but I always forget. Nice shirt. They smell kind of weird. They need washing. I've also got a hat, but I don't know where I put it. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, there was something I thought of before I showed off the. It had to do with the shirt. Now I lost it again. But anyway, so, like I said, I a lot of my family does not know, but it's not like something I hide. But I remember now what it was. Because of, like I said before, because of the way that a lot of people when I was a teenager and stuff treated LGBTQ people, I didn't want to be gay. Like, I wished so hard that I was just, quote unquote, normal. Like, I just wanted to be regular, have a regular life. I didn't want to have to deal with the stress of being gay. Now that's different. Like I would not trade it for the world. I'm actually proud to be gay. I'm happy with
Good.
who I am. Yeah.
Yes.
But that's why like I don't hide it anymore. And if I ever have a boyfriend, he's coming to holidays with me, and my dad's just gonna have to suck it up or whatever.
I think when you reach that point of like euphoria, I guess, where you accept your identity and you recognize that like who you are is beautiful and you know you should be yourself. I think that's such a beautiful thing, and I'm really glad that you get to experience that. I think that for me, when I first came out and when I first realized that I was trans, there was such a huge amount of me where I was like terrified. I felt like I would never feel normal. I felt like I would never feel okay, if that makes sense. And I kept questioning myself all the time. I kept saying things like, "Is because I feel like this? Am I really trans, or is this, you know, is this an idea that maybe I'm not?" Or like things that pop up, and you know, you try and convince yourself that you're not those things. You know what I mean? You try and find reasons why
Yep.
maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're just having a moment or a phase or whatever. I think that the moment that I finally just let myself be myself, and that first time that I looked in the mirror and was like, "This is who I'm supposed to be," and like really accepted that, I think that is such a beautiful moment where you just learn to love your identity and love who you are and be a part of that. Plus, you will get to be part of like the coolest group in the world. Like when you're LGBTQ plus, you get to be in the LGBTQ plus group, and like all the peoples in it are really cool. So well, most of them are really cool. So you know, and I've made so many friends who are LGBTQ plus two, who are like the most incredible, most creative, most wonderful people I've ever met in my life, and I'm so glad that I got to meet them and be part of this. Obviously, that will be the same for a lot of people. I didn't come out officially until I was 17. I waited a long time for like my age group's standards of long time. Naturally, not as long as you did. But like for my age group, waiting until you're 17 was quite a long time really to wait to come out, especially if you knew already. But it's not easy and it's frightening. And if you are struggling with coming out too, and you're watching and you haven't come out before, you know that's perfectly okay. That's acceptable. What's your Twitter? Was that a question for Rob? If so, it's confessor_x, right?
Yeah, somebody stole Confessor X, so it's
How
Confessor
dare they?
underscore X.
How dare they? Um, so yeah, I think it's really hard. Coming out is definitely hard. It's definitely difficult. I think so what you just said about your mum saying that your life would be really hard and horrible, that's kind of like what my mum did at first. It took her a while to accept it, and eventually she did, and our relationship is great now, and she's fantastic, and she's very accepting. But because she let her fear get the better of her, she very much said things like, you know, your life's gonna be really difficult, people are gonna be really horrible to you. Do you really want to deal with all that? You know, can you not just avoid it and not do that, you know, because they try and get you to not make those choices. I think for my mum it was genuine fear and not being a bigot, um but for some people it's like the way that they hide the bigotry, isn't it, instead of admitting to it. So I see some of you guys mentioned in the chat some of like things about you. You can share your stories with us if you want to, and we will read them when we get to them. If you have any questions, you can ask them too, and we will do our best to answer them, because you know there's only so much we can talk about and cover everybody's ideas as much as possible. But if you ask us direct questions or share your stories with us, we'll be able to answer a little bit better. But I think when it comes to learning to love yourself, it's not easy, you guys. It really isn't. But there's still things about myself that I don't love, obviously. Like, for example, I don't like my weight, for example, and I'm always bullying myself over that. And I don't like that I don't get up early enough and have a normal sleep schedule, and I bully myself about that. But those are not necessarily gender related or LGBTQ plus related. They're more
I mean,
general things.
same with the weight. About the getting up, I don't give a crap.
I just think that I would mentally feel better about myself and my life if I got up at an earlier time and worked earlier in the morning, and then had my afternoons or my evenings to do what I wanted and stuff, and didn't stay in bed all day. Because my reasoning for staying in bed all day is mainly depression, and not so much because I want to. It's like I stay up late and stay in bed all day because I'm depressed, and not because I want to do that. So I think that's like the difference. If I wanted to do it, whatever. Because I have in the past wanted to do that, but now because it's because I'm down all the time, I find that
Yeah,
frustrating.
that is a difference. Yeah.
And my weight is something that's bothered me my entire life. I've always been an overweight person my whole life. It's always bothered me. I'm very lucky in some ways, because people always say they can't tell that I'm the size that I am because of my face. It doesn't really go to my face. It all goes to my stomach and my thighs. And that really, like, I don't know, it really bothers me. And I'm always beating myself up about the fact that I never keep to any kind of exercise regime, and I struggle with dieting and making sure that I'm eating good foods and healthy foods. I'm really, really bad at it. But that's not like gender related, but it does impact my gender dysphoria because it affects like how I see myself in my gender, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm.
obviously, it reduces like the ability for me to have like stronger curves and things like that in my clothes when I wear clothes or wear certain feminine items because I feel too overweight to wear them, and society tells me I'm too overweight to wear them, and so that does affect my gender dysphoria as well. So like there's some never-ending cycles there that I really need to break, but I find it really impossibly hard to break them. So let's see. How did the people you care about react when you came out, and how did it affect you? I know people always say to be true to yourself and don't let opinions of others get to you, but it's hard to not care about what others say, especially when it's people that matter to you. I've come to the conclusion that I wasn't straight since I was like 12, and I've been wanting to tell those who I care about for ages now, but I can't because I'm scared, and the dread is starting to take its toll. So you're in a position I think almost every teenager and young adult who hasn't come out yet will be in at some point. In fact, almost every LGBTQ plus person in existence will probably be able to tell you about that dread that you're feeling right now, of knowing you feel like you need to come out because you can't hide it anymore. We've all been there. Some of us obviously it takes
Hmm.
longer than others to be able to feel confident to do so, but it depends on whether you know you're safe. I always say this when it comes to coming out. If you think you're safe to do so, then you should if you're ready. If you're not ready or you don't feel safe or you can't guarantee your safety, then you should potentially consider whether or not you might want to hold off. In terms of how people reacted, my parents, I told my parents I was gay originally because I was too scared to tell them I was trans, and I was sort of, I don't know, I guess I had the stupid idea that I would ease them into it by giving them something a bit less outlandish. They were fine with me being gay. If when I told I was gay, they were like, whatever. They did not care at all. When I told them I was trans, they found it really tough at first. And it wasn't so much that they didn't like me or that they were angry with me or something. It's that they just didn't really understand and they didn't really want to accept that that was what was happening, and they kind of ignored it, I guess. But it got better over time. And after about a year, things were really good. Now relationships now are really, really positive. So, you know, it can go very differently. I mean, as Rob just mentioned about his family's reaction. What about your friends, Rob, when you told your close friends?
I mean, that's what most my brother, who's the closest to me in age of my family, and he's my younger brother by a couple years. And
Yeah.
all of my friends were all like, "Oh, we already knew." Those were the ones that were like, "We already knew. We accept it because we already knew." Basically, and then that my ex-wife was not happy with that response. She was like, "If she's like, why didn't you guys tell me then?"
Yeah. I could understand that.
Uh, but yeah, but so yeah, but all of my friends were, except I didn't have anybody that was like, "I'm never speaking to you again." And then like when I came out at work too, all of my coworkers were fine with it. It just seems like only my like some people I haven't told, like I said, my dad and like some of my aunts and uncles, I don't think know, like some of my extended family.
Mm-hmm.
But all the people that do know, no one has been like, "Oh, I'm never speaking to you again," or anything like that. I know that happens sometimes, and I was actually surprised that nobody in my family did that. But so far, of everyone that knows, it's been okay. The only one that I am actually worried about is my dad. I don't know. Like, I have some of my aunts and uncles I said I haven't told because some of them are even older than my dad, and they're like, usually older people are less accepting because of how they grew up. But of all of them, my dad is the one that I would be the most concerned about him being like, "I'm never speaking to you again," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because he and I already have problems for other reasons. Mostly because like he brings up that I'm like the least like responsible of all my siblings and stuff, and because I did like I used to be a dog trainer, whereas like my sister's a teacher and my brother is a computer programmer and stuff. Like so, like he considers those more prestigious jobs, but I was just a dog trainer. My other sister is an artist, but because her husband is an engineer, like basically they're like I don't know, he just constantly looks down on me about stuff. Like he told me basically that because I asked them to help me with a loan for a house in the past, and because I was paying more in rent than I would pay for a mortgage, but they wouldn't give me the credit for it unless someone else signed on. But I was paying the rent, and it would have been like half of what I was paying in rent, so I would have easily been able to keep with the mortgage payments. But he told me no because he didn't think I was responsible enough. And I was just like, and then he went to this whole tangent about how I'm a terrible person, and I'm just like, cool. And then my sister was the one that encouraged me to ask them because I wasn't even going to ask. And she was like, had this face on, like, I am so sorry I made you ask this. I'm like, I knew this was going to be the response because Dad doesn't even really like me that much. So telling him this, I'm sure he'd never speak to me again. But at the same time, like, because this is about people that don't accept you, like, I don't care. Like, if my dad was like, I'm never going to speak to you again, I wouldn't care. Like, because our relationship has degraded so far that, like it's we have pleasantries. I tell him I love him, and it's true. But, like, if he decided because of this he never wanted to speak to me again, I'd be okay with it. Fine, I'll never speak to you again. That's sometimes that's unfortunately what happens, and it's usually actually better for you to cut off people like that if you can, because if they're not going to accept you for who you are, they're just going to constantly be basically tearing down your self-image. Like, every time you see them, they're like, you're going to know, oh, they don't approve of who I am, or they're going to say stuff about it, and it's just going to, even if, like, you have, like, hard armor and you're like, oh, I just brush it off, it still gets to you. It chips away at you little by little by little. So the best thing to do is, if someone is like that and can't accept you, to cut them off. I'm not saying that sometimes people don't change their minds and come around. People definitely do. But it's up to them, and it's on them to come around. It's not on you to have to suffer until they do, kind of thing. So if you can, it's best to try to cut those people off. Sometimes it's not possible, especially if you live with them. In those instances, you do kind of have to develop an armor and kind of try to do not let what they think affect you, which is difficult. It's very difficult to do.
I think, yeah, I think the thing is, when it comes to people that don't accept you, you've got to remember sometimes, and allow yourself to remember as well, that this is your life. You are entitled to keep whomever you want in your life. If you find that someone is providing you nothing but negativity and not giving you positivity in your life and is making you feel bad about yourself, you are more than entitled to remove that person from your life. You are more than entitled to not have them there. Even if they're a blood-related family, you don't have to keep someone in your life just because you think you do, or because people say you do. If they make you unhappy or make you feel miserable, you do not need to keep them in your life. And I would advise that you probably consider not doing so, because they're just making you unhappy. Now, obviously, like Rob said, if you live with them, that adds added complications. Obviously, you'll have to take your time before making those decisions, because you don't want to make that decision while you live with them and make your life really difficult, or potentially make yourself unsafe. But once you're able to move out and you're older, you don't necessarily need to care about what these people say or what they do, because they're not going to affect you, and all that matters is you in those situations and the people who care about you. So yeah, I think it's really hard to not let the opinions of others affect you, especially if you're someone who cares about them. To answer your question, Clum, I do care about people's opinions. I find it hard, but sometimes you've got to reach a point where you decide, you know what, the only person's opinion who matters is mine, and they can get out of here, basically, So yeah, I think that's the best. I think that was a really good answer from Rob, really. So cutting them out sometimes is the only way, and that's what you're gonna kind of have to do, unfortunately, in those type of situations. It's not a question. I just want to say I love you both so much, and I love how you support LGBTQ+ people. Well, I'm glad that you love us, and I'm glad that we support ourselves and others too. So Tori, for your question about coming out when you have autism, I don't have autism, and I used to be a teacher, so I used to teach kids that did have autism. I don't see any reason why it would be any different for you to come out differently in a different way to how everybody else comes out. I understand when you fear about people not necessarily believing you or thinking that you're wrong because of your autism. I've heard that before. I've heard parents say you don't know what you are because, like, you're autistic or whatever. Obviously, that's a ridiculous argument, because you do know your own self-identity and your own sense of yourself. But I think when you're young, it's harder to get that across to people, especially older people or parents. Sometimes you just have to wait until you're older before you talk about these things. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you could be in trouble or unsafe, we love thick thighs, B. Thanks, Sammy. I mean, I think everybody's beautiful. All bodies are beautiful. I just don't like my own, and I want to lose weight. That's the thing that I don't like about myself that's left. My voice and my weight are really the only two things I don't like about myself anymore. So it's my responsibility to get them under control, and I just have been struggling to do so. That's all. I came out to my mum years ago, but my mum still forces me to like men and says, "Look, that guy is pretty cute and stuff." So I gave up and decided to just live my life without coming out. Well, that's a shame that she does things like that. When I was growing up, my parents used to be those parents that would say things like, "You're gonna break so many women's hearts, or you're gonna do this, or you're gonna, all that kind of stuff." They don't do that anymore since they have me as their oldest child, and they've experienced what that's like having an LGBTQ plus child. They don't do that with my younger siblings, probably because they realized that they didn't mean to, but accidentally impacted me as a kid by saying things like that. So they don't do it anymore. But I don't know how I can really suggest a way to get away from that other than just unfortunately being patient until you're old enough to be able to be like, "Mom, this is who I am." When you don't live there anymore, and she can't control what you're doing, you can do whatever you like, so it's just hard when you live at home. By coming out, do you mean coming out to yourself or to other people? Be yourself, Halo. We're talking about coming out to other people, but if we can also explore the accepting yourself part too, because coming out to yourself is a big part of the journey. It's the first part of the journey, really, isn't it? Figuring out who you are to yourself. There is no rush for that, by the way. You can take as long as you need to come out to yourself and accept yourself with who you are and figure out yourself. You don't need to label yourself. There is no pressure. You've got as much time as you need to figure out who you are and what you feel. And I think it's important that you take that time to really figure yourself out and not feel forced into picking a box to jump into, if that makes sense. Take your time, figure out who you like, who you are, what you feel, and give yourself time to feel it before you, necessarily choose, because it's good for you to have those options. And there's plenty of resources out there these days for you to find anything you could possibly need to find out all the information you need to know. I don't... Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna combine my answer to that with some of the others I saw about labels. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be labeled as anything, and you shouldn't label other people unless they tell you, like, this is what I am, kind of thing. Because sometimes it's hard. Like when I was younger, like I said, I didn't want to be gay. I was hoping, like, I tried to, like, I was never attracted to girls. I would always be attracted to boys, but I would still tell myself, I'm like, oh, it's just, I can admit that a guy is cute. That's it, all it is, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I just haven't found the right girl yet. Like, I would tell myself these kind of things, but, like, deep down, I knew that it was boys that I was attracted to. But I tried to convince myself that I was not, like, really hard. So eventually, like, it took me a long time to accept that that's who I was and that's how it was going to be. So for yourself, like, a lot of people do have, like, actual confusion. Like, I'm sure it's super confusing for bisexual people because you're like, am I or am I not? But coming out to yourself is also a process. It happens. You definitely have to do that before you can come out to other people, because otherwise you're not going to know what to come out to people as. Like, I mean, you can come out to people, like your friends or whatever, and say, I don't know. Like, if you trust them, be like, I don't know. I might be this. I might be that. I kind of feel. And sometimes they can help you, like, talk you through it and figure it out, if you do. But sometimes if you're not sure, especially if people aren't going to be supportive, or you're worried might not, it's usually better to wait until you're sure about yourself to tell them whatever you're going to tell them. As for labels, no, you don't have to label yourself. A lot of people try to label other people too, which is annoying. Like, I've seen a lot of things where straight people have tried gay things, and then people are like, oh, well, they're not straight then. It's like, yeah, they might be. Like, because look at me. I have done, like, I was in a relationship. I was married. I have done things with women. I am not bisexual. I am gay. Just because I have done things with women does not mean that I'm bisexual. So, like, you don't have to label yourself. Also, don't label other people unless they tell you what things that they are.
Yeah. So the next person I was gonna read said, how do you, like, get to accept yourself? I don't think I ever will. What would you say that was the turning point for you, Rob, that you really decided, you know what? I'm fine as I am. I am who I am, and that's fine.
I would say that I accepted being gay probably when I turned 30. Actually, it was probably shortly after I got married, because otherwise I probably would not have gone through with the wedding. But it was before I came out to my wife, because I was like, okay, yeah, I got married, and afterwards I was like, no, I'm gay. I'm definitely gay. But I was still going to go along with being straight, just because I didn't want to hurt my ex-wife or disrupt my family. And I was like, okay, I'm gay, but I'm just going to have to live a straight life for the rest of my life. Like, I was ready to sacrifice my future happiness just to keep things as they were without making waves. But like I said, when she started having issues with it and realizing, like, basically I wasn't attracted to her and wanted to find out why, I was like, well, I can't just keep going on like this, because she was thinking it was something wrong with her, like, was she gaining weight or something? And I'm just like, so I was like, no, I can't let you go on thinking this. I have to tell you the truth. And then that's when, so after I told her, I was like, well, then there's no point in hiding it from anyone else. So then I started just coming out to everybody. But I myself had accepted it a couple years before that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't come out until I was 36 for everybody. I don't recommend waiting that long for it, because it kind of messed up my life a little bit. But if you want to take the time and you want to wait and be sure, like, there's no shame in waiting. Just uh, don't don't try to live something you're not, because it does not work out. It ends up messing things up. Like, for all I know, if I had just accepted myself earlier, I could be married to a guy by now. I could have a relationship. My life could be very different. I don't know. It could be. I mean, maybe not. It's also possible that it would have been worse, but you never know. And it's better to live as you are, like your authentic self, as much as you can. So, even though it might be tempting to try and hide forever, I don't recommend it.
Mm-hmm. I think I think I accepted myself a bit earlier because I was angry. And I know it might sound silly, but I was angry with my family who didn't accept me. The people who refused to accept me, or like made me feel like I wasn't accepted, made me angry, and that made me want to be who I am even more, if you know what I mean. Like, I already knew who I was, but it made me want to push myself to be who I was even more, because I knew that it was bothering them. And I was like, well, fine, if you aren't going to stand by me and it's going to bother you, then I'm going to make sure it really bothers you. You know, I was being really vindictive. I was a teenager and I was mad. I felt like a lot of my childhood had been taken away by the fact that I was still depressed my whole childhood, repressing these feelings and never talking about how I felt. And you know, I grew up as well, like, with a really, like, conservative, like, grandfather, and he would take me to get my hair cut and stuff and force me to have short hair. And he used to make, like, he used to be really strangely obsessive about me having to stand up to pee, for example, if we went to public toilets and stuff when I was a kid. Things like that. Like, he thought that you had to do this because you're a man, you have to do this because you're a man, and men do this and men do that. And, you know, really, really
Mm-hmm.
specific and over the top. And so as a kid, I felt really trapped and really upset all the time, and just devastated, I guess. So it made me angry. That made me want to be who I am even more, if that makes sense. Because I was angry with the world for repressing me and forcing me into a bubble that I never wanted to be in the first place. Um, so I guess that my acceptance for myself came from anger, and then when I calmed down and my family started to accept me, I started to accept myself more. And then I think now I live a life where I get to look at myself and think that is what I'm supposed to look like. You know, like my hormones, for example, over the last few years have changed my face shape a lot, my body shape a lot. So like when I wake up and I see myself in the mirror, I don't feel like I need loads of makeup anymore to be able to see the person that I want to see, if that makes sense. Whereas before, like 5 years ago, I would need to put loads of makeup on to be able to look even close to what I wanted to look like, if that makes sense. So I think you get there eventually, and it is a process, and it does take a long time. It took me years and years and years to be able to get to where I am now, but you do get there eventually, if that makes sense. So
Yep. Yeah, and I wanted to add what you said about the feeling depressed and stuff because of the pressure put on you. Like, I meant to bring that up when I was talking about how my dad was like telling me about how, like, I was the black sheep of the family, all basically in a disappointment, blah blah blah. I wanted to yell, because this was the point. I passed the point. I was out to the rest of my family. I wanted to just yell in his face that, like, it's because of you. Like, everything you kept saying. Like for my most of my teen years, I felt like I was a monster and there was something wrong with me because I was gay. So I was in a deep depression, and so I didn't like I just skated by at school, and because I didn't want to do it, like I made no friends because I felt like there was something deeply wrong with me, and I didn't want to like involve other people, and like I was so depressed and stuff that I just basically let things like I would like you said now like I would sleep all the time whenever I would do my homework on the bus because I didn't have like the drive to do it at home kind of thing or and I just like the whole time and then like too at work like I would just let people basically like I should have been like pushing for like more to get promoted and stuff like that but like I felt like I was garbage so I never did and it's like I just wanted to be like it's mostly your fault and because of things that you said when I was a kid and that you still believe now is the reason that I'm like this and I'm only just starting to really recover and become who I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. I was one of those people as well in the same position. Like I said, my granddad was forcing me to have my hair cut short, forcing me to stand up to the bathroom. He also used to force me to like get changed in like the public part of like, when you go swimming and you got changed at the gym like changing rooms. He won't let me go into like the private cubicle, for example, because then men didn't do that. Men get changed in front of each other and stuff, which by the way sounds very gay. And things like that, like it wasn't manly enough. Anything that wasn't manly enough wasn't acceptable. And so I felt like I wasn't supposed to have long hair. I wasn't supposed to play with my sister's dolls. I wasn't supposed to like do all these different things because he would make that really clear that that's how he felt. And my grandparents played a big part in my life growing up. So I kind of felt forced to listen to what their opinions were and what they were saying. And so I repressed myself further. But I think as you get older and you just stop letting other people tell you how to feel, it makes a big difference. But I have sort of in a similar way that you have the anger towards your dad, as you mentioned, I have so much internal anger towards my granddad because of the way I grew up as a child. And I feel like for the same reason of keeping the peace, I can't, even though he knows that I'm trans, obviously, and I see him regularly all the time, and I tell him I love him and whatever, I do most of it just to keep the peace, just purely for my family's sake, of the fact that if I go in there and say to him exactly what I want to say to him, it's going to cause a big issue. So I just go in and I just keep the peace and I stay positive and I'm polite and I avoid conversation where possible, and just do what I can because you don't want to create this whole fight for your family, even though in reality you have every right to do so because you're the one who's experiencing this negativity at the hands of somebody who doesn't need to give it to you. But I guess that's the reality of what it is for many people. French Vibes, you said, what if you're unsure? If you're unsure, that's fine. You can take as much time as you need to become sure. Literally as long as you want. You've got your whole life ahead of you. You can take your time to figure out who you are and what you feel, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. You just take your time. If you don't know, Ice Heart, sorry, if your parents will accept you, the best thing to do, you can drop little hints and stuff like that, or you can ask questions about LGBTQ plus people to get an idea of their opinions on things, but you don't ever want to put yourself in a position where you might be unsafe. So if there's even a slight chance that your parents could make you unsafe, like maybe throw you out or anything like that, you don't want to come out and then put yourself at risk of like, them throwing you out, making you homeless, or worse, like hurting you, anything like that. You don't want to take any of those risks. So, don't put yourself in a position where you could be unsafe.
Yeah. So like there's like she said, talk about it, or like one of the things that I've noticed a lot of times if you put on like a show or a movie you're watching that has LGBT characters, sometimes people, especially ones that have bad opinions, will mention it, will like say things like, oh, why is this in everything? Why are there LGBT people in every show lately? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that like those kind of things can give you clues as to how they feel. If they don't say anything, of course, it doesn't give you one way or the other, but at least they're not like super against it where they're just like, I'm not even going to watch this.
Yeah, watching things like that or seeing Like, or even you could have a YouTuber that you like and stuff, and you could show them a video of a YouTuber, be watching it in the living room or something, and if they come through and can tell that that YouTuber's a bit flamboyant, obviously gay or something like that, they will often make a comment about it. If they're anti-LGBTQ plus, they will usually make it obvious by commenting something negative about those people. So there's gentle ways that you can showcase things. If you if you want to avoid making it obvious, there's like, for example, in the UK, there's a show called This Morning. There's a guy that hurt two different guys that hosted that are both gay, for example. You could show them on it on the show one morning, have it on, and if they make a negative comment about it, then that'll give you an example of if they're against it. If your parents actively watch those type of shows regularly all the time and have no problem watching them and are really really into those shows, probably find that they probably don't have anything specifically against them, or at least feel neutral, because they probably wouldn't want to watch it if they really, really felt strong against it. I don't see a point of coming out. Straight people don't need to come out, so why should I have to come out? You don't have to if you don't want to. If you don't feel like you need to, that's fine. I want to raise my children in a household where they can come home and go, this is my boyfriend, or this is my girlfriend, whatever, and not have to feel like they have to come out unless they really, really want to. Unless they feel like it's something they need to do. I'd like for my kids to be able to just come home and be like, this is my girlfriend, or this is my boyfriend, or this is whatever, and just tell us, and not have to feel like they need to make a big deal out of it if they don't want to. They can just just exist. But if they want to come out, then that's fine. But if you feel like you don't want to, you don't have to. Do whatever you like.
Yeah.
You can just come home and introduce your girlfriend, boyfriend if you want. If that's what you want to do, just do it. But like, if you're a gal yourself, you can just bring them home and be like, this is my girlfriend. And be like, her name's whatever. And if that's why you want to do it, that's fine. You do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. You don't necessarily, like she said, you don't necessarily have to. There are some detriments to not coming out, though, because sometimes, like, people will try to set you up with heterosexual relationships and stuff like that. They'll be like, "Oh, look at, she's so cute, blah blah blah. Well, you should ask her out."
Mm-hmm.
Or people will actually come and ask you out. Whereas if you're out, like, you avoid those kind of things because people will know, "Oh, I shouldn't go ask him out because he's gay," kind of thing. But like those are just like minor things. So if that doesn't bother you, then yeah, there's no real need. Technically, I mean, introducing people to, if I was gay and introducing people to my boyfriend, that's technically coming out, I guess. Because usually then that broke more questions. It'd be like, oh, do you always date guys? Do you date guys and girls? Well, like, because then you start answering questions. It's the same. It's kind of almost, basically, you end up coming out your whole entire life. Every new person you meet that doesn't know, eventually they're going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're always going to get questions. People, especially from people that don't understand. If you've got all LGBTQ plus friends, you still probably will get some questions, because everybody's curious about each other's identities, and you might find that some people ask you questions because they're actually curious because they're feeling similar things to you and they just don't know how to explore them. I get a lot of questions from younger people that are like, or even friends that are around my age that are trans too, but or like I've had questions, for example, from a friend who hadn't come out as trans yet, has come out now, was asking me questions that I used to think, this is a bit strange, these are really particular specific questions, but I answered them anyway, because you don't know, somebody could be struggling with exactly what you're going through and your answers could be really helping them. So sometimes you will find that you'll get asked questions a lot, and no matter what method you choose to come out, you're gonna basically be coming out at some point, unfortunately, because that's society at the moment, and that's the way things are right now. But it gets easier as time goes on, and you get to a point where you care a lot less. If you're trans, you don't necessarily have... You do have to come out, obviously, if you're able to accept your identity. Unfortunately, they will keep calling you your birth name or birth pronouns, obviously, unless you come out and say not to. Once you're already out and everybody knew that you meets you as your transition self, like me now, you don't necessarily have to. When I meet new people, I don't necessarily just come out. Obviously, I don't just tell people randomly that I just meet that I'm trans, because it's none of their business. My close friends know, and the reason my close friends know is because I do a lot of stuff like I'm doing right now, where they would easily be able to find out anyway. But when it comes to meeting new people that I may not see again, maybe I just work with them or things like that on things, I don't tell them, because it's none of their business. They don't need to know my identity, and that's another reason why I want to be able to move away. I want to be able to move away somewhere fresh where nobody knows and I can just exist, you know what I mean? As a woman, without anybody questioning it or knowing anything about me from before. But sometimes it can be difficult. And some trans people don't feel that way. Some are quite happy with people knowing. I just have grown up online and I am sick of everybody knowing my business. So the last couple of years, especially, I've become a very private person who keeps my life very, like, secretive, I guess. My real life is very private. I do vlog a lot more now recently, so that shows a little bit more of my private life, but I do still keep a lot of my like actual private life personal and don't show a lot of like those private things because I think you get used to my life is very online and I'm sick of everyone knowing everything about me all the time, if that makes sense. I realized I wasn't cis years ago and I came out to my mom and close friends, but I'm terrified to transition socially. I always worry that I've been making the wrong choice. I haven't made any attempts to change my appearance, but it's taking such a toll on my mental health. I feel like I need to just avoid it and try to live life without transitioning, but I don't know if I can handle that. If you're struggling so much with not transitioning that it's affecting your life really badly, I think you're answering your own question there that maybe you aren't making a mistake and that you do feel that way, especially if you've taken years to think about this first before doing it. Even if you're not like necessarily trans female or trans male or whatever, maybe you're non-binary or whatever it is that you are or you feel you are. Some non-binary people still transition. You know, some people who come under the trans umbrella but aren't necessarily just trans women or trans men still do transition, still take hormones, whatever. So if you feel that you need to transition in order to be happy, then you know it might be complicated. I know it's hard to social transition. I know it's scary, but you might benefit from trying to find the resources and the support that you need so that you can do that. If your mom was okay with it, maybe talk to her about this, maybe mention that you feel like you need to, and you can speak to doctors and things like that and medical professionals too for advice. They can also refer you to places where you can go to like therapy and things like that to help you along with this process. So there's lots of resources out there available for you and so many YouTubers you can watch too out there as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how well this works because obviously I'm not trans, but you could also try like transitioning superficially, like just wear the opposite clothes, gender clothes, do your hair differently, like whatever gender you're trying to be, and then see how you feel. Like do makeup if you don't normally wear makeup, like,
That's
and
how
see if
most
that
of us
makes you feel
start.
better.
That's even what I did.
Yeah.
Rob's right. I bought a wig when I was like 15, and I used to just try like hairstyles and stuff like that because I didn't have long hair. So I would try things like that, and you know there was various things that I used to do, and then I eventually just started growing my hair out. A lot of my memories from back then are quite like blurry because that phase of my life, I think I tried to erase it because it was really difficult. So I can't really remember exactly how I got from step 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. But yeah, you can certainly start with small things like I started painting my nails and wearing eyeliner, stuff like that. Just like little things because men do those things commonly too. So you know, let's see. I've known for a while that I was gay, but I live in a small town and there's really no other open LGBTQ plus people here, so I hide the real me away and I just don't know if I will ever find someone who truly accepts me and knows me. I'm very scared. I just want someone who I can talk to. It does break me, but I just don't want to burst the bubble. So I would say that one of the biggest things that you can do, obviously, is making friends online. There are so many LGBTQ plus forums that you can meet people online, where you can meet people that are just like you, who are in exactly the same position as you, and it does help to have people to talk to. I know it's not entirely the same, but it does help to at least have people to talk to. I don't know what position you are in, or whether or not you're in the position where you might be able to move into a more metropolitan area or a more like city-based area where things are generally more accepting. But even if you can just visit a place that has more LGBTQ plus people, I think you'll feel so much better. When I went to London, for example, I live in a tiny village in the middle of nowhere. Like, I mean the middle of nowhere, like everyone's a farmer. There's like, I don't know any other LGBT people where I live at all. But when I went to London, I just felt so at home because there's so much diversity and everybody is so different, and that you can feel the culture change when you get there. And I went to Amsterdam as well earlier this year, and again, they are so LGBT positive. It's crazy. There were stalls in the street selling LGBTQ plus like colored stuff and merchandise and all sorts of stuff. They're really, really like LGBTQ plus positive, and I absolutely loved it. Every single moment of being there made me feel really open, and I came home with a different sense of identity, I think, knowing there's so much diversity out there. It's not easy when you're at home in your own bubble, but sometimes when you get to go out there and experience it and get to see it differently, I think that it's wildly different, and you really get to see what the world can be like, you know?
Yeah. There are some places like that here too in the US, like in Massachusetts, there's Provincetown. The entire town is LGBTQ plus. So and like almost every day they have like, it's almost like Pride every day because the entire city is basically in on it. And then any places you go that have a Pride celebration or a parade, obviously like you get to know people, like you get to see them. I mean, you don't have to worry about like, oh, are these people gonna accept me? It's like, yeah, if they're at the parade, most likely yes, unless they're protesting, which because even if like they're just allies, if they're showing support to other LGBT people, it's gonna be okay to go meet them.
Have you been?
I've been to Provincetown. I've never been to a pride event though.
Oh, we should go to Provincetown together to an event at the same time. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I think going and meeting more people like you makes a big change. Even if they don't know that you're like them, you know, just be able to experience that. It's nice. When I grew up, I also forced myself. Oh wait, sorry. Let me just read this one above, so I missed it. My mom has a lesbian friend. She supports her, but it's different for me. I'm sure she's not gonna support me. If she supports her friend, like, and she's a close friend that she genuinely like, you know, enjoys her company of her friend, it's very unlikely that she wouldn't support you. You know, I mean, she might have some difficulties because you're her child, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that if she has a close friend who's a lesbian that she would just straight outright not support you. She might even suggest that you talk to her friend for advice, you know?
Yeah. Emotions are weird. So sometimes, yes, because you're their child, they might slightly have. But I mean, I doubt they're gonna like throw you out or yell at you or anything. But like sometimes they do get more upset. I had a friend who his older brother came out as gay, and then he came out as gay, and his parents were more upset with him because, like, even though they were accepting of the older brother, and like, so he's like, oh, it'll be fine because they were their only two children, and like they got concerned about how they weren't going to have any natural grandchildren and all, like, because like he got a worse reaction from them even though he was the second one to come out, just because like they didn't like throw him out or get mad, but like they got more upset than they did at the first child, but because people, I don't know,
People are weird.
emotions are weird.
They
Yeah.
have weird expectations for what their future's going to look like. That's what my parents, I
Yeah.
think, struggle with the most. That they thought I wasn't going to be able, you know, I wasn't going to be able to do man things and be their son and give them children and stuff like that, you know. But grandchildren, should I say? But as you grow older, you know, what your parents expect you to be, you're probably not going to fit those boxes anyway, because you're going to do what you want, because that's what's more important, is that you be who you want to be, not who your parents want you to be. When I grew up, I forced myself to like boys, and took me years to finally understand that I only like women and non-binary people. I don't like men, and I'm sad that the world around me when I was a teenager made it seem like being LGBTQ+ isn't something that exists, and I was wrong for feeling how I feel about women. You would be very surprised at how many people share a very similar experience to you. Society has a way of trying to force people to feel things that they don't want to feel or aren't. But it's good that you know how you feel now and that you understand your own feelings and can go forward learning more about your identity and hopefully finding a way to accept yourself and have others around you accept you too. I'm not sure if I'm a lesbian or a trans boy. It's really confusing. I just want to choose one, but I can't. Well, you can't choose it. That's the problem. It's gonna take you a while to figure it out, because I was in that same position. When I look back now, I don't think it was that I was confused whether or not I was trans or gay. I think it was that I was hoping that I was gay because I didn't want to be trans, because I thought that my life would be so much more difficult being trans than it would be being gay. So I tried the whole being gay thing and told everybody that I was gay, but I couldn't do it. It still didn't work for me. It's not who I was, you know? When I saw myself in my future, I wanted to be the wife. I wanted to be a mother. I wanted to be a sister, you know? I saw how I wanted to fit into the people I love's lives and the life I wanted to have, and it wasn't the life of a gay male. And I think maybe you might even benefit from exploring what it's like being a gay male for now. And if you end up being fine with that and you feel like
Lesbian.
that fits you, then great. Sorry?
Lesbian, not gay male.
Sorry, lesbian. That's what. Yeah, sorry, lesbian. Yeah, if you lesbian or trans boy. Sorry, I was talking about it like it was when I was a kid. Being a trans woman. Yeah, if you want to experience what it's like being a gay female, a lesbian, for a while, and see if that comfortably works for you before coming out as trans, you might find that that's exactly what you are. And you know, but if you need more time, take that time. You know, it's okay to take as much time as you need. I had luck coming out when I realized I was gay when I was 9. and my family accepted me. But the thing that hurts me is that I know I will never have a teenage romance. I feel like I'm way too insecure to be in a relationship because I find boys my age scary. Where I live, it's common to use slurs and be homophobic. I really want to move from my country and live somewhere I can find people I relate to. I also question if I'm trans or if I'm bi gender. How do you think I can find out? Again, it is just a thing that you kind of just have to wait and experience and explore and figure yourself out, because nobody else should be trying to tell you what you are around anyway. You should figure that out for yourself. In terms of the teenage romance thing, totally understand that one. I feel like I missed out on so much as a teenager, not just teenage romances, but also friendships and other things that you experience and explore as a teenager. I think I missed out on tons of them because of being trans. We're not inappropriate conversation upcoming. You've been warned. We are allowed to discuss these things on this channel, so just be aware. If you're a minor, you should probably leave. But when you're young, when you're a teenager, there's so many things that other teenagers are doing and they talk about all the time. Some of them are lies, by the way. They're not all sleeping with people all the time, and a lot of them are lying. But there are things that, as a teenager, a lot of people do talk about experiencing that I feel like I missed out on. Even just having your first kiss and stuff like that, I feel like you missed out on. I was so afraid of other people, and I didn't want to go near anybody. I don't think I had my first kiss till I was 19. That's perfectly acceptable. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. You can wait as long as you want. And especially for teenagers at school as well, kids are always full of crap. They're always like, oh, we're all not virgins anymore. Yeah, they're not. They're probably all virgins still and just lying. Some of them won't be, obviously, but a lot of them are just lying. And I think that I felt like I missed out as a teenager, but I don't know, because then at the same time, I was a virgin until I was 22. So at the same time, I'm was that a bad thing? I don't know, because I waited until I was really, really comfortable with myself, and I think that that's okay, and it's fine that I waited until I was comfortable with myself. There's nothing wrong with that. So,
yep.
Yeah,
I can definitely relate.
Still, though. Sorry, Rob, go on.
I was gonna say I can definitely relate. I missed all the teenage, even the young adult years. I could have gone to prom with a guy, or I've been to several weddings. I could have danced with a guy instead of a girl, but like I said, I'm just trying to fit in and feel what society thought was normal, and trying to be normal.
I feel that one, by the way, the prom one. I could have gone to prom in a gorgeous dress, but instead I was stuck in a suit pretending to be a boy. I'd already come out by then, by my prom, by the way, but my school and parents made me go as a boy. So,
ugh.
Let's see.
I saw a comment about being influenced by social media. I just want to take a moment to, a lot of people that are saying, oh, people are coming out younger and a lot more than they used to, so they're being influenced by seeing people on social media. It's they're not being influenced to be LGBTQ. It's that people now feel safer and more comfortable to come out earlier and more often. Everybody still existed, the same amount of gay people existed years ago. It's just they were terrified to tell anyone or to come out until either they were away or they got found out by other means or stuff like that. It's not suddenly because people are talking about it, everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna be gay now. It's no, they were already gay. They're just now feel safer and more comfortable to tell people, their parents or teachers or other people. They're not as terrified, which is a good thing. But people are oh no, everyone's being influenced by social media to be gay. It's no, they're not. I'm sorry, I'm not. I was trying. People were trying to make me be straight, and I was not when I was younger. It doesn't work that way. Nobody's being scared into being gay and pretending they're gay.
It's a ridiculous notion, but it seems to be one that's thrown around a lot.
Yep.
I'm gonna start over. When I found out I was bi, my partner broke up with me, and those 2 weeks after my breakup was depressing. I thought maybe something was wrong with me, and that's when I started trying to change myself, but nothing worked. After a while, I thought maybe I was wrong, and people should accept me for who I am. I've still kept it a secret from my parents, because I thought maybe they will hate me forever. I think that, again, you'll have to sort of explore whether or not your parents are accepting of LGBTQ+ people, but especially as an adult, what your parents think or feel about you is none of their business, really. You can do whatever you want to do and be whoever you want to be. Obviously, if you're worried about them disliking you, then obviously you care about them being in your life and you care about your relationship with them. But sometimes you've got to care about yourself more. Sometimes you've got to really think that, you know, it's important that you feel comfortable and that you're happy with who you are. I'm sorry about your partner too. It's crappy. I always say that I don't think I lost many people when I came out, but one of the biggest ones is I actually did lose my best friend at the time. I had a best friend at the time, and they did stop talking to me after I came out as trans. But at the time, I thought my world was crashing down and my life was over. But now I don't even think about them until just now. Like, you know, you get past it because screw them, you know.
Mm.
If that's the reason they don't want to be in your life anymore because you're LGBTQ plus, then who needs them?
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. They don't deserve you as a friend.
Can I just say thank you for this being really needed? You're more than welcome. More than welcome. I don't go through this personally, but what would you recommend to somebody who has a male friend who constantly flirts with them despite the fact that they aren't interested in them because they're openly lesbian? A friend of mine has this commonly occurring to them. So a gay guy, no, straight man flirting with your lesbian friend who's very openly lesbian. I'm assuming not in a friendly way. And I mean, it doesn't matter if it's friendly or not if they've made it clear they don't like it. If they don't like it, then you absolutely should say so. They should tell them they don't like it. If they know they don't like it, then they need to stop it, because that's gross and uncalled for and needs to be put a stop to. You shouldn't be fighting with somebody who's told you they don't like it or talking to somebody in a certain way when they've said they don't like it. I would suggest your friend puts her foot down and tells them that, or even you, if your friend's comfortable with that, tells the friend, you know, she doesn't like this. You know she's a lesbian. This is weird. Why are you doing this? When she's made it clear.
Yeah, I was going to say, if your friend has already told him, stop flirting with me, I don't like it, then sure, you can step in too and be like, she told you she doesn't like it, cut it out. If she hasn't, though, get her permission to intervene before you do. but yeah, you definitely can say something if she's already told him. And like, the more people that drill it into his head, this isn't acceptable, the more likely he is going to get the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of guys, especially, and a lot of people will think that, like, it's just her that's a problem with it, but obviously everybody else thinks it's fine if no one else says anything. So as long as you have permission to do so, don't be a bystander, you know, stand up for your friend and say this is not acceptable. And if he continues to do that, then she might want to consider not being his friend anymore, because he sounds like he's not respecting her feelings. I say... Sorry?
I was going to say, unfortunately, sometimes men like that don't respect any women's like opinions on stuff. So if you have other male friends that would like, because they'll usually be more likely to listen to another guy. So if you have other male friends that can talk to him about it too, that could help.
Yeah, so make sure you get your friend's permission first. I say hey gays as a greeting to my group of friends when where we're all queer in one way or another. Is that insensitive? Well, that depends on whether or not you've asked them if it's okay. Like, I'll say, like, certain words and certain names to, like, refer to my other queer friends, too, but I, you know they're okay with it. If they say to me they're not okay with it, then I wouldn't do it, you know? If one of your friends says to you, you don't necessarily have to ask their permission to refer to your group as, like, hey, gays or whatever, but if they say to you, I don't like it when you call me that, then you shouldn't do it. That is insensitive, you know? If nobody seems to have a problem with it, then, you know, assuming they are all queer, because obviously referring to somebody who isn't or something like that is quite rude. Just be careful and listen to what people say. If people say they don't like something, just don't do it, you know? I also have a feeling sometimes that I'm not in the right body. For example, in most games or anything, I dress up as a girl and call it my drag, but sometimes I question if it's more of a cover-up that my own mind is creating. I mean, that's what I was like when I played games back in the day. I used to just say it was like drag or whatever, and that I was just dressing up because it was fun, or there was better clothing options for the girl characters or whatever. But I obviously knew that I preferred to be that way, and eventually but I think in the back of my head I always knew that I did actually prefer oops, I just opened a picture of a sandwich. I'm sorry guys, someone sent me a message on Discord. I forgot that I was sharing screen, so I opened the picture and it's just a sandwich.
I am now a sandwich.
You're now an expensive New York sandwich. Anyways, so I would say that, you'll know in the back of your head. It'll be in there somewhere, and it might take a while to come out of the back of your head, but just don't close yourself off from it, but don't force yourself to feel it either, you know?
Yeah. Like, I was gonna say, when I was younger, the video games that I played when I was like a preteen and teenager, none of them had like gay characters. None of them had LGBT characters at all back then. So I used to play as female characters because they were the only ones that could like have relationships with the guys. But
Hmm.
now that they do have LGBT characters, I have switched mostly to playing men, gay men, or stuff like that. But
We
I
all just
I
want to
just
see
think it was
ourselves
funny.
represented, don't we?
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things is that representation is important in these type of things because you want to be able to play characters that are like you or, you know, that do things like you. Right, let's see. My mom had one kid and she has already accepted she's not getting a bio grandkid. Well, that's fine. You know, some people are fine with that, and good for you.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad
I
that
mean,
you feel
I
that.
was just
Sorry.
my example was just some people do sometimes have an issue with it, but it's great that they don't.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I have been times I do feel at home there. Well, I'm glad you get to go to places where you do feel comfortable. Maybe if you ever get to go on vacation, especially by yourself, you should be able to take advantage of that to be who you want to be while you're there. Explore your identity being different while you're there and see how it makes you feel, you know? When you're in a different place, nobody knows you, so you can be and do whatever you want.
Hmm.
Currently having a gender funk. Part of me wants to be a girl, and the other part of me wants to be a boy. Right now, I have a boy name and use he there. Well, Chaos Silver, it's gonna come down to what you feel about yourself ultimately, not necessarily what you want to be and what you feel you are. You know, it can take time though to figure that out, and it's okay to be in a bit of a funk right now while you figure out how you feel. It takes a while. I mean, for a lot of us, it takes many years to figure out how we feel. It's perfectly okay to feel that way, you know. Are
Hmm.
you a lesbian? Because I'm sure I heard
Definitely.
you say you had a girlfriend once. I have a complicated relationship with my sexuality because there is a name for it, but I have forgotten it. You guys have told me it before, but my sexuality fluctuates heavily. I am always attracted to men, but my feelings towards women come and go a lot. Sometimes I feel really attracted to certain women, and then other times I feel very not attracted to women, and it seems to come and go a lot, so it's complicated. Um, for the fact that I have not been interested in women for a while now and haven't fluctuated in a while, I just usually just say I'm straight, just because I'm mainly interested in men, and my interest in men stays, if that makes sense. About the 18 plus stuff, I missed a lot of normal teenager stuff because I was figuring out who I was, and also because my parents are too overprotective and only allow me to go to school and come back home. Now I'm kind of glad because I'm still stuck and scared of having my first times and the person thinking I'm a loser for not knowing how to do stuff. Yeah, that's something that we all fear. That, just so you know,
I will. I
whether
will
you
tell you.
go on.
No, go ahead. I was gonna say I will tell you the key to this: communication.
Yeah, communication is very important. But here's the thing, right? Someone doesn't, when you communicate with them, is making jokes or fun of you for not knowing how to do something or not knowing something, you shouldn't be with them because screw them,
Hmm.
because they're an asshole, right? But here's the thing: if you whether you're a teenager or not experiencing these things for the first time, you still don't know when it's the first time. Teenagers are worse because they have no idea what they're doing, and it's much even
Hmm.
more embarrassing. Everybody goes through that. Unfortunately, it will be embarrassing at first. It just is. All these things are. First kisses, first whatever, they're all embarrassing at first. Especially, I understand, because I was an adult who felt that exact feeling that you're explaining of not knowing what to do or how to
Yep.
do and feeling really embarrassed. And I was 100% mortified, embarrassed, and so afraid. But as long as you're with somebody who really is somebody that you care about and you feel close to and feel protected by, and they're not an asshole, and you communicate with them, they'll understand, they'll be gentle, they'll be
Yep.
kind, and they'll take their time.
Yeah. Just if it's somebody that you care about and it's not just somebody you're just hopping into bed with because whatever, just let them tell them, be like, I am inexperienced, I don't really know what I'm doing. And they might surprise you and say, well, I don't really know either, let's find out together. Or they could be like, oh, well, I have experience, so I'll talk you through it, or whatnot. So the best thing is to communicate, to let that person know that you are unsure, that you're nervous, because everybody gets nervous, and sometimes that causes problems in bed too. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, just tell people, keep it. The
be
best
honest
way
and
to get
open.
past it is talking. Yeah.
Hmm. And if they don't, if they're not like responsive to your honesty and openness, then they don't deserve any of your time anyway. You know, if they make you uncomfortable, then get out of there. Sorry, I checked on my brother. I thought he was having a seizure. Well, I'm sorry. I hope he's okay.
Yeah. I used to have seizures when I was a kid. To suck.
Yeah, I heard about this because Webby said he didn't know, and you were like trying to avoid being sick or something because like, when you were a kid, it used to cause seizures. So Webby was like, "Great, yeah. I didn't know this. And I'm just studying freaking out."
Yeah, I haven't had him in a long time. I think the doctors thought I would grow out of it. Apparently, I have because I haven't. It hasn't happened in forever.
Definitely scary. Sometimes I feel like an imposter since the LGBTQ plus has become more abundant in the media. I feel like I'm trying to follow a trend. I think a lot of us feel like that sometimes, but like you've got to remember that like the media are trying to put these things and make it sound like this on purpose because it sells stories and it gets people talking and it generates clicks and things like that. You shouldn't be listening to other people's opinions and just form your opinion about yourself by yourself and who you feel you are by yourself. Don't listen to what other people think because what they think, they're not in your head. They don't know who you are. So, you know, screw what they think.
Yeah.
Knob to them.
Like I addressed this slightly earlier. Like if you are not LGBTQ, the media is not going to make you into one. Like I said, the media tried to make me straight. It didn't work. It won't work to try and make people gay. You are what you are.
And that's it. Whatever you're born is how you're gonna be. And that's just the way it is, no matter how much you repress it. Also, when I need to change and go to the bathroom, people want me to go into the female restroom changing room, and it's really hard for my questioning because I need to say, oh, I'm a male, and when I use he, him, she, her pronouns. It's hard because the amount of strangers I come out to when I'm in the queue for bathroom changing room, it makes me uncomfortable. I think that when it comes to bathrooms and changing rooms, you normally will need to use the ones, obviously, that your outward appearance looks like to avoid problems, which can be difficult for people who are closeted, but sometimes it's just easier to try and utilize gender-neutral ones where possible, because there are gender-neutral ones in some places. They do exist, especially in the UK. We have a lot of gender-neutral bathrooms, and for the time being, whenever you have to be separated into single-sex spaces, you're going to need to go into the one that your outward appearance allows you, if that makes sense, to make things easier. It's a complicated situation though, because I'm not you and I don't know what you look like, and I'm not in your personal position, if that makes sense. As soon as I started to look feminine and identify femininely and dress that way, I started using female bathrooms. Because that's why I feel safest, and I've never had any issues, nor would I cause any, obviously. I'm questioning my gender and sexuality, but I'm not sure if it's due to my mental health, weight, and other issues being all over the place. I mean, it could be, but it also might be that because you're feeling down, it's giving you the access to those thoughts in order for you to question it because you are suffering with it, or maybe your mental health being impacted by the fact that you haven't explored the fact that there's something going on there, like your sexuality or your gender. There's lots and lots of things here that you could be unpacking. And I would just say take your time and think about it and not, you know, not worry about it as much as possible. As the highest badge count on a fashion game, describe your dream prom dress. Because I didn't get to go to prom, obviously, as myself, the way I would have liked to. My dream prom dress would literally be the ball gown dress that Matt Crystal designed for me to go to RoyalCon with. If you all saw that dress, that is like my dream prom dress. That was like... For me, that moment was me getting to sort of pretend and relive my, like, prom, if that makes sense, through the way I would have liked to. I loved that dress so much. If I could have that dress in real life, I would love it. It was beautiful. And does anybody else have any more questions? And Rob, is there anything you wanted to add on to anything that I've said so far?
I mean, there were a couple things I thought of that aren't really, like, that don't really fit that I could bring up. One was just when I was younger, like one of the things that made me feel like bad is that a lot of people used to use gay as an insult, and so like that made it like reinforced that it was wrong to be gay because people would be like to call each other, oh, you're gay, blah blah blah, and then people would be like, no, I'm not, like so like angrily and whatever, so that it makes it seems like it was a horrible thing to be. And then other people would say it about things like, oh, that's so gay. Oh, this show is so gay. Oh, this door is gay because it won't open or whatever. It's like like they used gay as an insult for everything, and it was just like it was really damaging to hear that kind of things. And I don't know. I don't know if people realize like things like they say like that can impact people. But
Yeah, I definitely understand that one 100%. I think that when I was growing up, people asked me if I was gay all the time and also insulted me and called me gay all the time. I knew I wasn't, and that was something that frustrated me even more because I knew there was something else. I just didn't know what, if that makes sense. Like, I couldn't figure out what it was that it was, but I knew I wasn't just gay. So, like, I guess I hated it in a different way. It wasn't so much that I was that, but feeling like I couldn't be. It was more so that I was like, I really am. I'm really not this, but I don't know how to tell people what I really am, so I didn't know what words to use or how to describe what I really am or what I was really feeling, you know? It's
mhm.
really annoying people still use gay as an insult. It's really stupid, but like, I do hear people use it still, and it's just moronic, really. Um, it feels really uncomfortable when I'm in the men's room. For the glares and stares that I get from others in there, I really wish they made more gender neutral restrooms. I wish they made more gender neutral ones as well. I am sorry that you get a lot of stares in there. I wish I knew what to suggest. I'm not very good at stuff like this. Other than the fact that I wait and try and hope that when I go in there, there's nobody there. That's mainly because I fart when I pee. Sometimes I don't want people to hear. In my school, they use gay as a what? I'm trying to work out what that word is. Any ideas?
I'm assuming an insulter of some kind because this is sad, but it's hard to change their minds.
If Miss Rosabella, if you were saying that is like it's an insult, right? Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean it's just stupid. It's really stupid. People I meet or speak to always ask, "Are you gay?" when I don't know, and so I just say I'm not, and that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
It's really strange that people, feel like it's acceptable to ask people about their identities when they don't know
hmm
them. It's really strange.
Yeah. I mean, that is a little different than just calling people gay as an insult, like asking, "Are you gay?" Like they still shouldn't do it because it's like it puts pressure on people
Hmm.
either way. But it's like, I mean, it's a little different, but they still shouldn't do it.
I think asking someone this if they're trans is really weird too. Like, it's none of
Mm.
your business, really. When I came out as a lesbian in school, they used to force me to use a private bathroom to change at the gym, and they used to separate me from the girls' groups. The same thing that now happens at work. The ladies on my staff team know I'm a lesbian, so every time I look at them in the eye to ask a question, they automatically think I'm trying to lead them on. That is so weird. Do you live in a really conservative place? Because, like, they all need to get over themselves. I would, if I were you, I know it sounds vindictive, but if I were you, I'd probably be like, girl, why do you think I'm flirting with you? I don't like people like you. You're not my type, or something like that. Because I'd get really irritated by that. I was told when I came out as trans at school, I was still there for like I wasn't there for much longer, a few months I think after I came out. But they basically insisted that if I wanted to use a separate bathroom, I had to use the disabled toilets or the staff toilets, like the disabled staff toilet specifically, because like barely anyone used it and therefore it was separate to everybody else. So I had to walk to get a key all the way across the school to get the key from the staff, and then go all the way across to the other side to use the toilet, then walk all the way back and give the key back again. Just to go to the toilet because they wouldn't obviously let me use the girls' toilets. But once I'd come out, they didn't want me to use the boy ones either. So, you know,
Telly.
they made me have to change with the teachers because I was uncomfortable changing with my male classmates. You change with the teachers? What do you mean? Teachers don't change for PE, right?
Unless they made them change in like the office with the
Well, why did the
gym
teachers
teacher.
leave when you do that? That's weird. Surely they should
Yeah.
leave. I mean, they shouldn't have to force you in there anyway, but...
In my middle school, the coach had a two-way mirror into the showers. I was like, that seems kind of creepy now that I'm older. Like, why? Why would you have this?
That is creepy. Into the boys and girls?
No, just the boys. I mean, I never saw the girls' locker room, so I'm assuming not.
How
but
did you know it was a two-way mirror?
because I went in there once and I could see into the showers through the and in the shower it was a mirror, but on their side it was a window.
That's weird, Rob. That's
Yeah, I
very
know.
strange.
I think it was supposed to be, I think, to like make sure that the kids weren't beating each other up in the showers, but it's just like I'm like, that's really creepy. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I didn't think anything of it at the time, but
You
now
don't take your
once I was
clothes
older,
off
I'm
fully
like,
when you shower.
so
I mean, it's
weird.
still weird, but you don't take them fully off when you shower in school, right?
I didn't, but most of the boys did.
Why? I don't know about, by the way, this is a very American thing. In the UK, we had old showers in our changing, but no one used them. You didn't have time. You didn't have like 5 minutes to get changed at the end of gym. You didn't have time to shower. And like,
Mm.
nobody did. Nobody used them. I think they even turned them off at my school because they were like, this is, weird. Don't use a shower. That's weird. So like, we didn't shower after gym and stuff in my school. I always found it weird that like kids used to do that in like on TV, in American TV. Like, you'd shower after gym, and I used to be like, ugh, that's weird.
Yeah,
But a
I mean
two-way
that's one of the
mirror.
reasons. Yeah, I mean not the two-way mirror, but that's one of the reasons why I started to realize I was attracted to boys because they would be walking around naked in the boys' locker room, all even in like middle school.
I'll just roll my eyes on that one. Why did they? I just can't get over the two-way mirror thing. That's creepy as
Yeah,
hell. That's
yeah,
all
I have
kinds of
no
weird.
idea.
Murder. Um, I don't want you to feel like I'm attacking you or anything, but something I've realized lately is the overwhelming presence of white LGBTQ plus people representing the entirety of the community. Every community has their set of not so good people, but so many people I know have the worst to say about LGBTQ plus because of the people they've seen to represent it. On top of that, as a queer disabled woman of color, I sometimes feel invisible. Well, I think that that's perfectly acceptable for you to feel that way. Absolutely, 100%. And that's why, like, It Gets Better, for example, is a platform that this channel is a channel that literally makes people. They have ambassadors, not just me. There are so many of us, so many ambassadors, multiple of them being people of color, people who are non-binary, people who are gay, people who are straight, allies. They've got so many different ambassadors on this channel. So if you follow this channel or the other ambassadors, you'll get to see people who are much more representative of who you are. But at the same time, we also have to remember that yes, I'm white and therefore a majority, obviously, and not a minority. However, I am a trans woman right now, there will be people watching, or could be people watching, who are white trans women too, who are being represented by me, but I would never insist on making it seem as though I am here to represent you, because obviously I'm not a disabled woman of colour, so therefore I wouldn't ever be able to identify with you on those things. I can identify on the queer part, but I can't identify on the being disabled or a woman of colour, obviously. But there are lots of people out there who can. And I understand that I understand where people are coming from with like the representation of lots of white people. I get that, and that's why it's important that we have more diversity. But also, it's important that we are representing in general, because I think that if we were to take away all of the white people who are representing LGBTQ plus people right now, we'd probably have a lot less people representing people. And it's even if it was just half as many, because it's important that we have people of color representing as well. I think that representation is good regardless, when it comes to LGBTQ plus identities. And wouldn't want to take that representation away just purely because they're white, if that makes sense. Um, that doesn't mean it's not
Definitely.
important to have people of color too. It is.
Mhm. Yeah, and we can only speak to our own experiences. Like even people that are exactly like us might have completely different opinions and experiences than we've had. And I can't like even together, like I can't talk to a lot of trans issues because I don't know
And I
about
can't talk
like.
about a lot of gay male issues because I have no idea either. That's why we're both here. But like
Mhm.
also similar sort of thing in that, for example, I grew up really poor, for example, in a really low income family in a really poor place who really struggled. As a trans woman, I probably wouldn't be able to identify as closely with a trans woman who was the same age as me, white, trans female, who grew up in a really rich household. Her experiences will probably be very different to mine. For example, she'd be able to access private healthcare that cost more money, for example, probably transitioning much younger than I did, whereas I had to use public healthcare because I couldn't afford private healthcare, and that meant that I had to wait until I was 22 to start hormones. So, like, I started much later in life. There's very different experiences that each person has, and I think everybody's experiences are all important and valid, but we can't We can't relate on all of them, but at least I can relate on the like LGBTQ plus part specifically.
Mhm. Yeah, like as we said, representation. Ideally, everybody would be able to see someone that represents someone who's just like them. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to do that all in one place. So, but like she said, it gets better has other ambassadors, like a lot of them. So,
And also, you mentioned about a lot of people you know having the worst thing to say about LGBT people because of the people who represent it. I can't help but feel that if your friends have an issue and they say it's because of who represent the group that they have the issue, they probably actually have a much more complicated anti-LGBTQ plus issue going on, like transphobia or homophobia rooted inside them internally. Because just saying it's because of the people representing the group is the reason why they don't like us would be ridiculous, because there are hundreds of thousands of people who are LGBTQ plus all around the world, millions of them that are all different. And if they're your friend, they know you, for example. So if they're still disliking the group but using the excuse of, well, I don't like these white people that are representing the group, they know you, so you're representative of the group, you know, of the community, should I say. So therefore, it sounds more like that their hatred is being rooted in something much deeper than just purely who's representing it. It's like, for example, saying that, like, Dylan Mulvaney, I don't like Dylan Mulvaney, so therefore all LGBTQ plus are bad. That would be ridiculous to say, because just because you don't like that one person doesn't mean that all LGBTQ plus people are bad. It's the same sort of situation with what's been going on recently with like this super massive amount of trans hate regarding like the school shooting situation, where obviously it was a trans person. I think it's like 5 total trans or non-binary people have partaken in school shootings, and therefore they're like, trans people are all really mentally ill, they're all crazy, they're all doing all these things. You know, you can't assume the whole group is bad because of that. Otherwise, all the hundreds of white men who've already done that would mean that all white men are bad because a few white men did that. You know, we can't group or generalize everybody together, because we're not all the same. Just because we look the same sometimes or have a few traits that are the same doesn't make us all the same, if that makes sense. So in the same way that I will never be able to understand what it's like to grow up or experience life as a disabled woman of colour, that's impossible for me to understand, I can at least identify with you and understand what it feels like to grow up and experience a lifestyle as a queer person. Um, Although our lives, of course, will be very different. If you are familiar with these types of popular guys in schools, one of them kept pestering about my sexuality, like questioning me because he saw me and my friend holding hands while weaving through a crowd in a school hallway, even though I've said multiple times I'm straight, as if I didn't know. And I was like, why is it any of your business anyway? Why can't platonic relationships hold a hand regardless? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure female platonic friendships is really normal to hold hands. It should be normal for men too, because men should be allowed to. But in general, women, for as long as time has existed, I'm fairly sure female friends at school have held hands and had like close platonic relationships. That's pretty normal. So not that it's not normal to not hold hands. You know what I mean? But like, your friend sounds
yeah,
weird, is what I'm saying. The
yeah. I
person who
mean
has an
that
issue with it.
you're saying these kind of popular guys with parentheses. Like I think you mean like the popular ones that like to bully people. For some reason, those kind of people just like to annoy people to the point of like getting a reaction. Like they do it basically because it makes their friends laugh and then they feel good about themselves, and it's just like if you can, it's best to just ignore them. Because the more reaction they get out of you, the more they're going to keep at it because they enjoy getting a reaction. So if you just like the next time he asks you, if you just don't say anything and kind of ignore him, and hopefully he'll eventually stop. But like that, like kind of bullying, I know they say like people are like, oh, you're a snitch if you go to a teacher. You really should just go to a teacher. Like I was bullied when I was in middle school. They glued me to a chair during an assembly with super glue and stuff like that. And yeah, and it didn't get better until I told
It's awful.
the teachers. Yeah.
Absolutely awful. What a horrible thing to do. But I was bullied really bad at school too, and I told the teachers, and it did help. I think that's the best thing you can do for sure. Oh crap! I clicked off it. Hold on 1 second. I clicked off the chat. Someone said sometimes I really think to myself that straight males do stuff that's even gayer than gays themselves. I've thought this sometimes too. They do some strange things, but they're friends. Who cares? You know, everybody should just be able to do whatever they want to do without this like incessant need to make other people feel bad about themselves. Just live your own life. Who cares? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I just couldn't care less if I tried what other people do with their lives. You know, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, I literally don't care. Just do what you want. I wish some more people felt this way too. As someone who is unsure, would you recommend I speak to people, or should I wait until I'm certain? You can talk to people about being unsure. Don't tell them you're certain,
Hmm.
though, if you're not certain. But you can absolutely tell them that you're unsure.
Yeah, sometimes people can help you work that out too if they're close
They
friends.
might even feel similar things. They might even open up to you and say, I've been feeling these things, and I'd like someone to talk to as well, you know? Also, Webby said the school showers are mainly used for the sports teams to use. The use of them just have PE classes very rare. It's hard for me to understand because sports teams don't work the same in the UK. We don't have like cross-school sports teams, for example. Sports teams in the UK, like when you do PE, or you do sport class, you just compete against each other. Like they split the class in half and have teams against each other. We don't do cross-school
Mm.
things. Sports against schools and stuff are a big thing in America. They're not a big thing here. We don't care. We don't have like
Well,
school spirit days and stuff like that.
but yeah, that was the ones I was talking about in middle school. We just had the regular, like it was just regular gym class. The only time that we showered was if we had gone outside for whatever reason. They would like to play baseball or something outside. They would make us shower when we came back in.
You had to?
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I brought a bathing suit, so I always wore a bathing suit in the shower, but a lot of the guys didn't.
I used to wear
But I mean,
my PE uniform, you know, your gym clothes. I used to wear them under my real clothes in the morning on the way to school, and then take my real clothes off and my uniform off, and have my PE clothes underneath, and then put my clothes back on top again. Because I was so uncomfortable getting changed in front of people. Sorry, what was the end of your sentence?
I think that was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm really uncomfortable, so. Well, Royal Emery, you should ignore them and just enjoy your life because who cares, you know? How long did it take a transition, if I may ask? Well, it depends on what you mean, socially or medically, because socially, I came out when I was 16, and when I was 17, I went like to the doctor, but I was put on a really long waiting list, which took a while, and I had to go to so many appointments, and a psychologist had to like diagnose me with gender dysphoria. When I was 18, I changed my name legally. I was wearing, by the time I was 18, I'd already been wearing clothes that I wanted to and wearing makeup, and I was at work and stuff. I'd already transitioned socially. And in my life, everybody was calling me she, her. I didn't start hormones until I was 22 in November. Oh, 21. Was it 21? November 2020. When was that? I was almost 22. I turned 22 the following January. And then obviously all the medical changes happened. Most of my medical, like all of the medical changes that happened, like my face shape changing, my body shape changing and stuff happening in the first year. And like growing boobs and things like that happened in the first year. They kept the breast growth continued until about 18 months to 2 years. I recently had a small amount of breast growth start again for some random reason. They've been really painful while that happened actually. And I'll take hormones for the rest of my life, so I'm sure there'll be a few small changes that'll still happen. And yeah, that's it really. Everything that stopped working very fast. Because you change very quickly. My mood, my feelings, my emotions, they all changed really quickly. I became much more emotional. My skin became much softer. A lot of my like feelings changed really fast. Things like that. I don't really know how to describe it fully. Like, yeah, my skin became softer. My hair became thicker and softer and more voluminous. On my head, to be clear. I definitely became much more emotional and more moody. I cry a lot more at stupid things. Can't really think of anything. Oh, my hip shape changed, and my leg shape changed, my face changed, like all the fat from down here on my face moved to like my cheekbones instead. The only thing that doesn't really change is your voice, but I'm having vocal therapy at the moment, so fingers crossed that'll be changed soon. Sometimes just to, I don't know, maybe feel a bit better, I just assume everyone around me is gay unless proven otherwise. Kind of like how people assume we're straight until we come out. I wish I could live in that kind of world, to be honest, where I just thought that everybody was LGBTQ was until proven otherwise. I'm
Same.
lucky. I live in a place where there are more LGBTQ people, you know, because the UK in general as a country, you know, people are quite open here. I think if you went to somewhere like where Rob lives, they have a very low amount of diversity in their state. Like, the diversity level is, like, one of the lowest in the country. But just because statistics say that doesn't mean you won't see people that are different. But it's one of the things that makes me the most nervous about going there, is that they have such a low rate of diversity. But I can't ask my friends how much diversity they see there because neither of them go outside because they're super introverts. So I can't be like, how many gay people or trans people do you see in public? They'll be like, oh yeah, outside. Yeah, that's where I go.
I see other gay people every day.
What did he say?
He said, "That's it. I'm going to town."
All right, good. And then he can tell me every time he sees some like openly LGBTQ plus couples and things like that.
Look, I can just lean this way, and there's some people's gay.
It's cheating if your roommate's game.
Matilda, I don't know if you guys know Matilda's was walking around behind me.
Oh, she's so cute. Is she feeling better now?
Yeah, she's licking the wound right now, though. But the stitches are out, so she's allowed to.
Bless her. What's outside? Honestly. Do you know what I realized? Do you know what? This is one of the most interesting things. I'll give you guys a little bit of a lesson time really quick. So coming towards the end of the stream. One of the biggest changes I found when transitioning, this is wild. As I started to become more comfortable in my gender, I learned something about myself that I never thought I would ever learn. And that is, I'm not an introvert. My whole life, I thought I was an introvert. My entire life, I always thought I was an introvert, right? Always. But since I've started to accept my gender identity and feel more comfortable in my body, I've realized I am miserable when I stay inside all the time. I am energized when I go outside. I don't think I'm an extrovert either, but I think I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I need to go outside and do stuff outside. Otherwise, I become absolutely miserable. And I just slowly become drained more and more until now. It's been about 3 or 4 days since I last left my house. I feel like crap. Like, I need to go outside. I need to go outside. But I've been so busy the last few days, I haven't had chance to. But not leaving my house for multiple days in a row makes me feel miserable. I would never be able to be somebody who just stays inside all the time. Rob and Webby are gonna hate me because I'm gonna drag them out all the time. We're like, we're going out
it's
for
funny
lunch.
because I used to be the opposite. Like, I thought I was an extrovert. Like, I used to go to coworkers' places. My family had stuff like every weekend. We would do parties and stuff like that constantly. But now that I've moved up here away from everybody, it's like, wow, it's so nice to just stay home and not do anything. Like,
you've been partied out and now you need to relax. That's why.
Yeah. I'm not blaming you. I'm saying I like it.
But yeah, I like to go outside. Webby will hate me because he's gonna be the bad guy. He's gonna be the guy that follows behind me carrying my bag. I can tell you now. Like, he'll be behind me carrying the shopping bags, walking up on a hike carrying the bag full of food and drinks behind me. And I'll be like, "You alright back there, sweetie?" He'll be like, "Yeah." Turn around and look at him and he's like, "Give me 5 minutes." Trying to like follow him behind me because I get too excited to go out. I literally wake up some days, I'm just like, let's go outside now. I want to drive somewhere. I specifically like to drive as well, so I just want to be out of the house as much as possible. Ambivert, then you are. Introverted at times and extroverted other times. Basically somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's me. That describes me perfectly. If I stay inside too long, I get really overwhelmed and feel like I need to leave the house because feel like I'm trapped inside and I'm overwhelmed and I lose all my energy. Then if I leave the house too much, I get really overwhelmed and stressed and feel like I need to go back home and do some work and like be in my bedroom again. And like, I'm not good in hotel rooms for more than a couple days, for example, because I start to feel like I miss my house and stuff like that. But then staying in my house too long makes me feel really stressed out. So, with your hair up, you look amazing. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the hat compliment. And yes, Jesse, introvert squad.
I need to actually message John because if we're doing that horror stream tonight, I need the details for the channel because I forgot them.
Oh boy. You need the deets, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because I got a new PC, so I don't have them anymore. So I'm going to need to open up a new window on here so that I can log into it when he sends me the details. Because for those who don't know, we are streaming tonight. The horror game that I promised I would do if we hit our charity goal. So that's going to be a disaster. That'll be on the Distractions Media channel.
One piece of advice that I can give to specifically gay guys and lesbians and bi people that are attracted to the same sex: don't fall in love with straight people. It sucks. It sucks a lot.
You're unlikely to actually fall in love with them if you're not straight yourself. Don't pretend you're in love with them or force yourself to be in love with them.
Yeah. Try not to get feelings, I suppose I should say.
Don't confuse loving your friend for being in love with them. Completely kind of spend the rest of your life with them kind of love. Versus, I just really enjoy your company love.
Well, I mean, I have other friends who I enjoy their company. It feels different.
I don't know how I would describe it because I've never been through it, so feel free if you'd like to.
I don't know, it's just like I feel like everything I do with him is what I would do with a boyfriend, except for the intimate parts. Like, I don't know, but I mean, it's the same. Like, I would do this.
That's what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I was completely off track, like completely. I thought you were saying don't fall in love with somebody who's straight, as in ex-wife, and pretend that you're straight to deal with it too. So I was like,
oh no,
when you said it feels different, I was like, Rob, are you encouraging people to be in love with people that are like women when you're a gay man? I thought that's what you were talking about. No, yeah, the other thing that you're talking about is yeah, falling in love with people who are straight or gay when you're the opposite of those things is really freaking tough. When you're in love with people, it's really tough. Yeah, that's real love. That one. That one is. The other one's pretend, but that one's real. Oh dear. Horror stream Mama is not going to bed yet. We have played Evade. We've played it a couple times, and it's going to be out on the channel in the next couple of days. I think tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that. All right. So, we're going to be finishing up here in a few minutes. I will send the link in the chat now for the channel that we'll be streaming the horror thing on. .tv/distractionsmedia. Problem is, John has not replied to me yet to send me the stream details. I wanted to take a short, like, 10-minute break before we went live over there anyways. But if John doesn't send me them soon, we may be in a pickle. So it might be time that someone yells at him. Like, someone just go in there and be like, John! What are you doing?
I think I have the stream key.
Oh, you do?
I think so. Let me check.
Because I know it's got one inside of the DM chat. I know there's a stream key in there. Problem is, I don't know if it's been updated. Because it's been a while.
Well, it's the same one. Yeah, the one that's in the chat is the one I used for the Halloween stream. So if it hasn't been changed since then, that's the correct one.
Okay, where's the one in the chat again?
It's in the charity chat.
Can you just look DM? It's me. Please?
Yeah, give me a sec.
Is it Distractions? Yeah, Distractions Media is our group channel, so that's where it'll be. Because I don't want to stream on my main channel because it's gooey. But we'll still need to take like a 10-15 minute break to set things up anyways and get ourselves sorted out and situated. So, you know, bear with us. But yeah, is there any last minute questions that anybody has that they want to share before we continue?
I DM'd it to you on Discord.
Thank you. I think I just partly shared our DMs on stream by accident. Because I forgot about the camera thing. I hope I didn't share the stream key. Because you're not supposed to share those. If so, we'll need to reset that. I'm a noob. But it's
Yeah, I
fine.
didn't catch it, so I don't know.
It's fine. I don't think there was anything. I mean, we don't talk about anything that's like private anyway. I wish I could meet you IRL. Or maybe one day I'll be going to like various conventions. So maybe one day you'll be able to. From what I can see, all I shared. Oh, good. All I shared was me telling you how to turn on the captions.
Okay. My guy friend came out as bi and started flirting with me, and I flirted back. Little did I know he was joking, so I kept feelings for him, but he didn't like me back. That's a jerk. That's a jerk friend.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the the guy that I like does flirt with me, but he has in no uncertain terms has told me he is straight. So, but I still can't help the feelings. But I like the flirting, so I don't tell him to stop.
Life, right? It's very complicated. Well, thank you all so much for chilling with us. I appreciate it. We will go live over on the other channel soon. I'm going to go set everything up, and we'll be live over there. I'll let you guys know when. I may go live briefly on my main channel, just long enough to get everybody gathered, then raid over into that other one anyway. But yeah, I'll see you guys very soon over on the other channel. Thanks for chilling with us. Thank you, Rob, for joining me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for coming, everybody. See you soon. Bye.